2nd May, Saint Athanasius, Bishop and Doctor of the Church. Memoria. Born at Alexandria in the year 295, he accompanied his bishop Alexander to the Council of Nicaea, and later he himself succeeded as bishop. He fought ceaselessly against the Arian heresy, and as a result he had to endure much tribulation, and he was several times sent into exile. He wrote outstandingly to illustrate and defend true doctrine. He died in the year 373. A reading from the Discourses of Saint Athanasius on the Incarnation of the Word. The Word of God, incorporeal, incorruptible, and immaterial, came down to our world. Not that he had been far off before, since no part of creation was ever without him. Together with his Father, he filled all things. He came to us full of love for us and showed himself to us openly. He took pity on our race and our weakness, and was so moved by the corruption that had got the better of us that he could not allow death to rule over us any longer. Had death prevailed, creation would have perished, and his Father's work in forming man would have been in vain. Because he did not wish merely to be in a body, or simply to be an apparition, he took to himself a nature which was no different from ours. He built himself a temple, a body that is, in the Virgin, and so made himself an instrument in which to dwell and make himself known. In this way, he took from us a body like our own, and since all men are subject to the corruption of death, he surrendered his body to death for all and offered it to the Father lovingly for our sake. His purpose was that, as all men died in him, the law of death, which was in force against men, should be abrogated. Death would have its final say in the body of the Lord, and would thereafter be powerless against his fellow men. To turn men back from corruption to incorruption and rescue them from death to life, he himself destroyed death, as Troy is burnt up in a fire by his incarnation and his glorious resurrection. He took to himself a mortal body, which, by sharing in the Word, who is over all, would satisfy the demands of death for all men. Through the indwelling Word, it would remain incorrupt, and by the grace of the resurrection, corruption would lose its power for the future over all men. He surrendered his body to death as a sacrifice, a victim without blemish, and by offering his own body, he immediately drove death away from us. So the Word of God, who is above all, offered his own temple, his body, for the life of all, and by his death paid the debt that was due. United to us all by the human body that was his, the incorruptible Son of God clothed us all with incorruptibility by the promise of the resurrection. Even the corruption of death has no longer any power against men because of the Word who dwelt among them in one body.